Hey guys, it's me again. Today we're going to do a tutorial for a children's pleated mask. And for that you're going to need, for each mask, you're going to need a piece of fabric that's cut 8 inches by 12 inches. Again, 100% quilting cotton like we've been using. You're going to need elastic, and we're going to talk about what size to cut that elastic in just a minute. You're going to have clips or pins, and you're going to need your scissors and your sewing machine. So the first thing you're going to do for this mask is you're going to cut your 1/8-inch elastic into the lengths that are indicated in your kit. We are making small, medium, and large children's masks, and the difference is the length of the elastic. So whatever your measurement is in your kit, go ahead and cut all of your elastic to those size pieces, and you'll need 2 of those for this mask. The second step is going to be pressing your fabric, your 8 by 12 fabric. You're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to press the folded edge, and that's going to give you a doubled 6 by 8 piece of fabric. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lay our fabric open after we press it, so that we've got that nice crease to refer to when we are putting our elastic on. And we're going to pin or clip our elastic just inside the fold and just inside the 1/4 inch seam allowance that you'll be using. You can use clips, you can use pins, whatever makes sense to you. I may just go ahead and pin this in, and you can let just a tiny bit of that elastic extend out past the edge of your fabric. And we're just pinning these loops. Make sure you don't get it twisted, and we're going to pin these pieces of elastic or clip them on each side of the mask. So it's going to look like that on one side, okay? And then we're going to pin the other piece exactly the same. So we're going to go just inside that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to pin, and we're going to make sure that we don't twist the elastic, and we're going to pin it just inside our fold. So now we have something that looks like this, okay? And then we're going to fold right sides together using that fold line as a reference, okay? And we're going to match our edges. And I'm just going to put a couple of clips on this to keep it closed. You could also use pins, and I'm matching up this bottom corner edge here. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same to this other side, matching up my bottom corner where my elastic is pinned, and then just putting a little clip on there to hold it. And again, you could pin this, and then sort of reversing my fold up here to make sure that all the edges are even. Okay. And once we get that taken care of, and if you need to put more pins down your edge, that's fine too. But we should have, our elastic should be inside the folded right sides to right sides piece of fabric that we have folded over. Okay. So I'm going to put this work on the machine now, and I'm going to start on the open edge of the fabric, okay? And I'm going to start about 2 inches from the corner. It's approximate, so you don't have to really measure. And I'm going to stitch at 1/4 inch, okay? So I'm going to put my needle in the work. I'm going to back stitch a couple of times, and then I'm going to sew forward. And I'm going to take this clip off as I go, and I'm going to stitch to within 1/4 inch of the corner, and then I'm going to leave my needle in, and I'm going to raise my presser foot and pivot, and then I'm going to stitch very carefully back and forth over my elastic, okay? And I'm going to pull that pin out because I want to make sure that elastic is in there very well, okay? And then I'm going to stitch at 1/4 inch down the side. Removing this as I get to it. And then when I get to my elastic, I'm going to back stitch over that. Okay. Now at this point, you can pivot here and sew down the folded side if you want to. But I'm just going to stop here and I'm going to do the same thing. The instructions are going to tell you to pick up your needle and pivot here. And you can do that. You can just sew down the folded side. And then when you get to this other side, you're going to pivot again. And you're going to back stitch across your elastic. And then again, 1/4 inch down this side. Okay. And back and forth against the elastic, and then pivot again down the open side until you have about 3 inches left open here. Okay. And back stitch. Okay. So I'll take that off the machine. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So now we have sewn from here to the corner all the way around, and then we have a fold. And we have back stitched here, and we've also back stitched over each of the elastics. Okay, so now you can trim your excess thread off. And the next step is going to be to turn this right side out, okay? So we're just gonna turn it right side out. It should be pretty simple with that 3 inch opening. And if you grab your elastics and pull them like this, that helps pull the corners out. And what we're gonna have here is this lovely little mask. It's still got an open side here. And at this point, I would say go ahead and press this again, okay, with your iron, or you could even just finger press it nicely, making sure that that edge stays folded in, okay, and you might even want to put a pin there to make sure it stays folded in, like that, right? And that's what it looks like before we do the pleating, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to mark for the pleating. We're going to use a ruler, and we're going to measure down on each side. We're going to measure at 1 inch, at 2 inches, make a little mark, at 3.5 inches, at 4 inches, and that's it. Okay? So it's an inch, an inch, an inch and a half, and another inch. All right? And I'm just doing a pencil. You can certainly use an erasable marker or whatever you want to use to mark it. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold each of those inches down. So the inch mark goes down to the 2 inch mark. Again, you can use pins or clips for this. I'm going to clip it. And on this side, I'm going to fold my mark down to my next mark. Okay. And we'll clip that or pin it. All right. Then we're going to skip the 1.5 inches and we're going to fold the next inch down. Okay. Inch mark down to the inch mark. And we're going to clip it or pin it. And inch mark down to the inch mark and clip it or pin it. And then if you want, Make sure your pleats are going in the same direction, and then if you want, you can press this. Press your pleats in, okay? And then what we're gonna do with this pleated mask is we're going to start on one side, and we're going to sew around the edge twice. We're gonna top stitch around the edge. So I've got my work on the machine, and I'm gonna sew at about 1/4 inch again, and I'm just gonna sew forward and back stitch. And then I'm going to hold my pleat in place, take this little clip out, and I'm gonna sew across my pleat very carefully. And then down the edge, taking this clip out, doing the same thing, sewing across that pleat to hold it in place. And then down to the corner where I'm gonna stop with my needle in, raise the presser foot and pivot. Now we're gonna sew across where that opening is here. So put your presser foot down, and then again right on the edge, somewhere between 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Remove that pin as you get to it, and we're just gonna sew that edge closed. And then when we get to our corner again, we're gonna leave our needle in the work, raise the presser foot, and sew down this side. And I'm gonna take my clip out, but I'm holding my pleat in place as I sew over it. And sometimes when I'm sewing this way on the pleats, I wanna take a pin and use it as a trolley needle and just kind of hold it down until I get right up on top of the pleat, and then I can just move it and go ahead and sew. And then the same thing here, just gonna hold it down so it goes under the presser foot nicely, and sew to the corner. And then leave my needle in, raise the presser foot, pivot again, and then sew right across the top, edge stitching. And then once I get to the corner, I'm gonna put my needle in, pivot, and do one more line of stitching, okay? Just over the other line. You don't even have to go beside it, you can just go right over it. Pivoting at the corners again. And my last corner, and right across the top. And once I get here to the corner, I'm gonna back stitch and up with the presser foot, off with the work. I'm gonna trim those excess threads, and we're gonna have a nice little pleated mask for our child.